Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Insights of a Headhunter. Today, it's the last show of the year, so we have a very, very special guest joining us. And she has written a magical book. Her name is Ivana Brutenic. She has worked as a headhunter, and now she's a keynote speaker and an author, and we will talk about her book, The Magic of Employee Influence. So, welcome, Ivana.
Hi, Tina. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to talk to you today.
So, welcome. And for anyone who doesn't know you, please tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so I was born in Slovakia. I live in Central Europe. I have a company called Sunday Flies, along with my sister and partner in crime, Christina. And for the last decade, we have been building LinkedIn brands globally with over 10,000 clients. So I'm really excited to share some tips around gamification of employee advocacy, because this is what really moves the needle when it comes to engagement in this kind of project.
Yes. So, like you mentioned, you wrote the book together with your sister Christina, and both of you have PhDs. You have a PhD in marketing and business. So, I read the book and I really recommend it to everyone who has a business. And it's written in such a wonderful way that you can really easily follow and get tips. You have top tips, you have ambassadors, action tips, and a summary. So, um, yeah. So tell me, how did you start with this project?
Yeah, well, actually, we have been talking about writing a book for probably years with Christina. And 2 years ago, I came to her and I said, "Okay, we should really write this book." And she said, "Okay, let's do it." And I was really surprised. So then we decided, okay, let's go. Let's find a publisher that will help us with the structure. And this is what really gets us really good feedback, the structure of the book, because we wanted to make sure it's going to be easy to follow. Because just the number one question we get from clients, how do we do employee advocacy quickly? We don't have time. So it was written for people who are very busy, so that they can really actually find some actionable tips, which they can implement very fast. And yeah, and I'm really excited because we wrote it in English because we wanted to really roll it out globally. And it's very exciting when we meet people, for example, in Birmingham at Uplive Live, where we have met. We came there and there was a lady who bought the book. She listened to our podcast in Australia and she was from UK and she bought the book there. So it's very exciting for us that it really found the readers everywhere globally.
Yes, and also on the first page it says this book is an absolute game changer, and it's a marketing lead from Microsoft EMEA. So this book it has proven that it works. So explain a little bit about the heroes and ambassadors and what are their roles and how do they work together.
Yes. So, yeah, I would like to probably start with the four key roles that we have in this kind of project, because many companies think they have employee advocacy project, but they really don't. Yes, maybe they have just a software, or maybe they just told their employees go and post something on LinkedIn or other social media. But really, this kind of project requires a system, a strategy. So to make it easier, we defined four roles that are very important for this. The first one is project hero.
Mm-hmm.
And it is really a hero because it's really a hard task. And this is a person who coordinates the whole project. So chooses ambassadors, leads them, talks to them regularly to support them. Then we have the project guardian. This is a person usually from the board or leadership team
Yep.
that drive this project. It's very important because it is a top-down process. And if you don't have the support from the management, it's really hard to pull off this kind of project.
I agree.
Actual ambassadors. So those are people who are posting on LinkedIn or other social media, because companies are using the same system for TikTok, for Instagram influencers within their company too, as brand ambassadors. So it doesn't have to be only LinkedIn, but we specialize in LinkedIn. So the ambassadors are posting at least once a week. So this is like the minimum requirement. If you have someone who wants to post once a month, this is not ambassador, this is a cheerleader. So everyone else in the company who at least is able to like or comment is a cheerleader. And you can have thousands of cheerleaders, but you cannot have thousands of ambassadors, because then they don't have the ownership of the project. So they're like, okay, I can post, or I don't have to because somebody else will. And then the project just goes like, there is a hype, like, wow, this is great. And then it goes down and they stop posting. So you just want to start with, we always start with 5 ambassadors, even in companies that have like 30,000 employees.
I think there was a really interesting page here on page 73. It says, challenge number 10. What if someone headhunts our ambassadors? And this is something that I hear often as well. And I totally agree with you with your answer. This is what I've seen in reality as well. So what would you say?
Yeah, well, actually, I have spent 15 years as a headhunter, and you really cannot headhunt a person that is satisfied. Yes, so you always headhunt a person that is at least mildly dissatisfied, and those offers are everywhere. So your employees can go for a coffee or a beer with a friend, and they will get offers. They will get offers on LinkedIn, even though they are not ambassadors or they are not building any brands. So I would say, if you really work with them, for example, if they are your ambassadors, and you tell them it is an honor to be representing your company, and they really understand it, you will keep them. So the probability they will stay is higher because you work with them. And of course, you want to give them the reason to stay. Yes, so they need to have a great employee experience. Otherwise, of course, they can leave. And sometimes it happens, sometimes people leave companies, but it's actually very uncommon that you have ambassador and he or she is really active and they leave. So I would say this is number one question from HR managers that we get, and it's actually not that big of a problem. So you want your ambassadors to attract talent. So you have to make sure you don't expose your people without them building brand and attracting talent, So you just want to make sure it works like that.
Yeah, I also see that daily. Half of the people are so happy in their jobs, and then I just congratulate them and say, let's stay in touch for the future. But you honestly cannot headhunt somebody who doesn't want to be headhunted. So it works both ways. If they're happy, and like you said, give them a reason to stay. So tell me about the gamification, because I often hear about employee advocacy, but gamification is something that makes the difference, and that I read about in your book.
Yeah, actually, we have been doing LinkedIn employee advocacy for 10 years. And probably the first 3-4 years were without gamification. So I can compare how it worked before and after. And really, it makes a huge difference. It's because people always say, I don't have time. I don't have time to build company brand. I just work here. And specifically those people who really work hard, they tell you, okay, I work hard. I just hope somebody will notice at the company. So if you find a way how to make it work for them so that they really feel, okay, if I'm visible, I can get more opportunities, not outside the company, but inside the company.
Yes.
Yeah, so there will be projects that will be interesting, and I want to be approached for this kind of projects. So this is how you start, what's in it for them. And then the next level is gamification. So gamification, as people maybe understand it, it's always like maybe leaderboards or some stars or confetti somewhere, in a program. And it could be that, of course, you can have confetti, you can have leaderboards, but what is important is that you have a system that you follow. So it's not random. It's not like, okay, let's give someone a ticket to the theater, and to someone else, let's give them a course or something like this. But actually, there are 7 psychological triggers that drive people to action. So we actually want them to be active and to stay as ambassadors for at least 1 year. So I will give you some examples so you can see how it works specifically in this kind of project. So for example, each ambassador has own personal KPIs, so they can really see the progress. So you can have a leaderboard, or you can do it in like thousands of ways, but they want to see they are having progress and they have constant wins. So this is very important. They always feel like I'm winning, and specifically when it gets hard, because it will. And then you have like peer recognition. This is free, simple.
Yes.
And if you just, for example, if there is some person in a management board and they say in the company kitchen, like, you did a great job, thank you so much. So this is like level 1. Level 2 would be, there is a meeting, company meeting, maybe an important one, and those ambassadors get really recognized in front of other people. And then level 3 would be like posting about them on their LinkedIn company page, so it gets out in a global or larger way. So you can use this. You can use, for example, personalized training or workshops. So you give them a goal, and if they reach the goal, they will get more training, or they will get a photo shoot, for example, for their LinkedIn profiles. They will get new cover photos for their profiles. So usually what we use is personal goals, and then you have community goals. And for example, in our programs, we have community goals. So that means we have, for example, 10 people who follow a program, and if they reach a goal that is very high, and if each of them reaches the goal, we will give hundreds of euros to a charity. For example, UNICEF. This time it was UNICEF that we supported. So they know that if they do their work, they will gain something for themselves when it comes to their career and opportunities and building the brand, and they will help a charity along the way.
Bigger goal.
And this is very strong because, for example, if you have 10 people and all of them need to reach the goal, nobody wants, to leave the opportunity behind, and they work really, really hard. And the last one is gamified rewards. So it's like gift cards, extra vacation days, tickets to events, bonuses. It doesn't have to be monetary. Sometimes it's really small things that count.
It's true. And often this appreciation that you said at the coffee machine, people value it more than if it would be money. Of course, money is great, but I don't think the best motivation is money.
Yes.
I see in your book you also talk about the challenge number 9 when it comes to content creation, and English is a second language of our ambassador, because this is very common what I hear from people. How do you tackle that?
Yes, usually when we work with companies, for example, from the US, where English is spoken in a huge market, they don't even realize that this could be a problem. So, for example, if they have subsidiaries in Europe, they will tell their employees, okay, just go and post in English, but it's not that easy. And even though those people might be fluent, they're afraid to make mistakes. So if we are working on a global project, we always need to support them in feeling okay with doing mistakes, making mistakes. It just happens, you know. And if it's a second language, it will, you know, probably it will never change. So you just need to get used to it. And the thing is that people really don't care. You know, I'm listening to a lot of content creators who have accent, and not in spite of their accent, but because of it, because I just like it, you know. So you have to, if you have people where the English or other language is a second language and they need to create content in it, they need much more support in this, and they will not tell you that, you know. Usually they're like, okay, I will post in English, but they don't post that much, you know, or they're like, okay, I post once a month and that is enough, but it isn't. So they need constant support in, and also in deciding what language to use. Because if you have like global company and you have multiple markets, or even a small company with multiple markets, usually you need to combine those languages.
Yeah, and I saw today a video from your sister, like the language. The video, it's all about the energy and following that. So you don't always have to understand the words, the body language, and that also transfers your message in a very good way.
Yes, and it's like the most authentic way through video that you can do, but it's the hardest one for people who start to create. Yeah, it's very hard for specifically introverts, but they can learn it, and even introverts can be great content creators. That they don't have to be extroverts at all.
I have another question here. It's about how much you can post on, and I love the rule of thumb. If it's safe to say something in appointment with your competitor, then it's usually safe to say it on LinkedIn. How did you come to that conclusion?
Yes. So our clients were asking, okay, what do we post? What is like risky when it comes to reputation? And, you know, when we were starting out, we were trying to have like more tips for them. And we, of course we do, but as a rule of thumb, this is like the easiest way you can really do to focus on what actually could be set in front of your competition. And we use it because it's very simple. So, for example, if you have a large company, you can't control all of your employees and what they are posting or not. You should have guidelines, of course, but if your guidelines have 30 pages, the social media guidelines, nobody is reading that. So there is a reputation risk, and you want to equip all the employees with the information that is the most important. So if it's just one sentence, it's this one.
Exactly. And I think like the subtitle of your book is to attract top talent, and this is really helpful in my work when the company is doing their employee advocacy right. I can just send the candidate, have a look at their LinkedIn, what they are posting, how do they talk to each other, how do the teams look like, how many things they do together, are they smiling on the pictures, have they had several positions in the same company, like all of that is really, really helpful in the process. So.
Yeah, and actually, what happens a lot is that the candidate will tell you, okay, I will check my future potential boss, and then I will tell you if I will come for an interview. And we also work with companies who want to attract talent. And when we tell them this, they are very surprised. So they don't know, like every headhunter knows, yes, that this happens. And actually those people are like, okay, I'm not coming because I didn't find the LinkedIn profile of my future boss. And it happens really. So it's very important also for the company to have their leaders' profiles done, at least in some kind of moderate way. Okay, so you don't have to hype all the profiles in the company, but at least so it gives the important information, and it builds the culture too, so that the candidate comes and they can see what kind of culture it is. And you can talk about the culture or you can show it.
Yes.
And the thing is, if you show it, they can really see it's true. So it's not like just this claim we have somewhere, which is great, but do we actually live by that claim? And if you do, the great way to show it is, for example, if you have great teamwork, then you have content around the great teamwork, and you actually show how your teams work together, how they solve problems, how they are trained. And it really makes a big difference.
Yeah. So let us jump over to the comments. We have our friend Jeff Young joining us from the US. Looking forward to this conversation, Tiina. And he says, "Thank you for following me since December 2020, Ivana."
Wow, so it's been 4 years. Hi, Jeff.
And we also have Anne Davies from Manchester following here live with us. Hi, Anne.
Hi, Anne.
And we have Gillian with us. She says, "Hello, Tiina and Ivana. Happy to see you both on the live today." And she was a speaker at Uplift Live earlier this year, and next year you will be speaking at Uplift Live in Birmingham.
Yes, I'm so excited to meet you, probably both. I don't know if Gillian's coming, but I hope.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Jeff is saying it's really key to celebrate the wins for a person and for the community.
Yes, and one thing is celebrate the wins, and the other is to normalize the challenges too, so that they can see it's really normal to stop posting, to lack motivation. It happens to everyone. So if you talk about it, they feel really supported and understood.
Like you said, this will happen to everyone who stays in the project or is involved. During 1 year, you will get very busy times at work or family. So this is really normal, and not many people talk about it. So if you have it in the program, it's really good.
Yes, and I love to use evergreen content for that. So our clients usually have prepared evergreen content for at least a few weeks. So that means this is a type of content that you can post anytime. So in January or October, December, doesn't matter. So it's around your values, what your company does, who does it help, for example, who's your like target talent? Yes, like ideal talent for you. So, for example, if you are hiring analytical financial analyst or analytical minds, you can have a type of evergreen content prepared. And that means that if you like motivation or creativity, you always have some posts prepared. And that's a huge relief. So you don't have to wait until it's okay, it's Thursday, I didn't post anything and I should. So you just have your evergreen content ready and ready to go.
Yeah. And I really love it. You're right. Content creation is a habit, not a talent. And you talk about Elizabeth Gilbert, and I really love her book, The Big Magic. So then I was like, oh, that's where the word magic comes, because it's not really logical science. It's more. It has to do with magic, and you also talk about the nervous system in context of employee advocacy, and I was like, how is it even possible that you come to that level? But this is really interesting. Like a dysregulated nervous system occurs when there is an imbalance between the sympathetic and parasympathetic branches of the autonomic nervous system, and you really have tips how to react when those things happen, because it's a normal. And you talk about walking outdoors and how to keep the project on track. So maybe you want to give tips there.
Yes. So actually, I have been dealing with the nervous system topic for probably 5 years, and we wrote it down into the book, the manuscript, and we were waiting for our editor to come back and tell us, and also our book coach, but they liked it. So I was very happy about it, because, for example, people think they don't want to post, or it's not important to them, or it wouldn't work for them, or they just talk themselves out of it.
Yeah.
And they're just frozen from their nervous system. So there are a lot of techniques, and one of my favorites, I'm going to share one, is that it's like a butterfly hack, and you do something like this. So before interview, before posting, you do this for a minute, and it just rewires your nervous system. So I just love it. And sometimes it seems like content creation is not for you, and it might be something different. Because if you were a child and somebody at school, for example, you presented a project and somebody was laughing at you, your body remembers.
Yes.
So you want to really work with it if you feel you're not able to be visible, because you are.
Yeah, and I really like it because it works with the left and right side of the brain as well. And
Yes.
we have a question from Christina Scalon from Belgium. How do you keep yourself motivated to write? Very good question.
Yes. I don't wait for motivation.
Mm.
So when it comes to writing a book, for example, it's the same with content creation on LinkedIn. You just need to sit down and write. Sometimes you can use it, sometimes you can't, because it's not that good. And actually, what works for me is just putting what I'm thinking on paper, and then really editing heavily. So usually when it comes to LinkedIn content, I just delete completely the first part of every post. So like the first 3-4 sentences usually are not necessary at all. So I would say I try to never wait for motivation. I just make a system where I create. So I sit down and I create. And sometimes when I feel like it, I create a lot in a bulk. And this creates the evergreen content that I can really reuse. And if I don't feel like writing, I create a video. So there are a lot of apps like Submagic, for example, that you can use, and it cuts your videos, it makes the subtitles, and it's ready to go. So everyone can't write, but everyone can speak. Yes. So for me, I think it's easier just to record a video too.
Yeah, that's a great tip where to start. So I see we are at the top of the hour. Thank you so much. Where could people find you and stay in touch with you?
Yes, so the best way is on LinkedIn, Ivana Brutenic, and then on our webpage, sundayflies.com, you can find there anything you need if you're interested. I would love to connect. If you listened and you liked it, just connect with me on LinkedIn. Thank you.
And get the book and come to listen to Ivana in Birmingham in March, 27th of March next year. So thank you, everyone, and see you next time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.